Chapter 7 of Ruth Fielding at the War Front. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Ruth Fielding at the War Front by Alice B. Emerson. Where is Tom Cameron? That the peasants of the surrounding territory should believe in that old and wicked legend of the werewolf was not to be considered strange. There is not a country in Europe where the tale of the human being who can change his form at will to that of a wolf is not repeated. Ruth Fielding had come across the superstition, and for the first time in the company of Charlie Bragg, as she had approached the town of Clare to begin her work in that hospital some months before. This same white figure which they had both now glimpsed had crossed the road, flying as it was now toward the trenches. The werewolf, as the superstitious French peasants declared it to be, crossed both to and from the battle line, for it was frequently seen. It was of this mystery Henriette Dupay had spoken in the library of the chateau that very afternoon. The Dupays believed absolutely in the reality of the werewolf. Only they were not of those who connected the thing with the lady of the chateau. Although Ruth Fielding had reason to believe that the police authorities trusted the Countess Marchand and were sure of her loyalty, many of the peasants about the chateau believed that the werewolf was the unfortunate countess herself in diabolical form. And even Ruth could not help feeling a qualm as she saw the fast disappearing creature, ghost or what not, that fled into the darkness. "Gosh," murmured the slangy Charlie Bragg, "enough to give a fellow heart disease. I thought I was going to run it down." "I wonder," said Ruth slowly, as he again started the car, "if it would not have been a good thing if you had run it down." "Can't bust up a ghost that way, Miss Ruth," he returned, beginning to chuckle again. "Talk sense, Charlie," she urged, forgetting for the moment the subject of the suspicion resting upon Tom Cameron and giving her mind to this other mystery. "You know, I've an idea this foolishness about a white wolf can be easily explained." "Go ahead and explain it," he returned. "I'm free to confess it's got me guessing." "I believe it is the big greyhound, Boo-Boo, that belongs to the Chateau Marchand. It is sent on errands to and from the frontier." "Canine spy?" chuckled Charlie. "I don't know just what he does, but I did think that the old serving woman, Bessie, that the Countess brought with her from Mexico so many years ago, knew all about Boo-Boo's escapades. But Bessie is not at the chateau now." "Oh," said Charlie, "she was the woman who went off with those two crooks who helped your friend, Mrs. Rose Montell, rob the Red Cross supply department?" "Not my friend, I should hope," Ruth said sharply, for the matter Charlie touched upon was still a tender subject with the girl. Her mind dwelt for a moment upon the presence of Major Henri Marchand at the chateau. He was there, and the greyhound, Boo-Boo, was running at large again at night. Was there not something significant in the two facts? But she said nothing regarding this suspicion to the ambulance driver. Instead, she came back to the subject which had occupied their minds previous to the appearance of the white object that had crossed the road. "Of course, it is quite ridiculous," she said, "to think of Tommy Cameron doing anything at all treacherous. I can imagine his doing almost anything reckless, but always on the right side." "Some little hero, is he?" chuckled Charlie Bragg. "I think he is the stuff of which heroes are made, just like yourself, Charlie Bragg." "Oh, I say," he objected, "now you are getting personal." "Then don't try to be funny with me," declared Ruth earnestly. "I have too good an opinion of all our well-brought-up American boys, to which class both Tom and you belong, to believe that any of them could be made under any conditions to betray their fellows." "Oh, as to that," he admitted, "nor any of our roughnecks either. We've got a mighty fine army over here, rank and file. Deliberately, I doubt if any of them would give information to the Heinies. But they do say that when the Huns capture a man, if they want information, they don't care what they do to him to get it. The old police third degree isn't to patch on what these Boches do." "I am not afraid that even torture would make Tom do anything mean," she said, with a little sob, "but these officers back there at that cottage must actually believe that he has gone over to the enemy." "If Cameron is the fellow I heard about this morning," Charlie said gloomily enough, "it is generally believed that he has been 2 days beyond the lines, and he didn't have to go." "Oh, impossible! I'm repeating what I heard. This flurry during the afternoon is an outcome of his disappearance. The German guns caught a train of ammunition camions and smashed things up pretty badly. Many tricks like that pulled off will make us mighty short of ammunition in this sector. Then Heine can come over the top and do with us just as he pleases. Naturally, if the boys believe Cameron is at fault, they are going to be as sore on him as a boil." "It would be utterly impossible for Tom to do such a thing," the girl declared with finality. Her assurance made the matter no less terrible. Ruth had no belief at all in Tom's willingly giving himself up to the enemy. Had there been 100 witnesses to see him go, she would have denied the possibility of his being a traitor. But she was very silent during the rest of that wild ride. Now and then they were stopped by sentinels and had to show their papers. At least the Red Cross girl had to show hers. Charlie was pretty well known by everybody in this part of the war zone. They would come to a dugout in the hillside or a half-hidden hut and be challenged by a sentinel or by one of the military police. A pocket lamp would play upon Ruth's face, then upon her passport, and the sentinel would grunt, salute, and the car would plunge on again. It seemed to Ruth as though this went on for hours. All the time her brain was active with possibilities surrounding Tom Cameron's disappearance. What could really have happened to him? Should she write to Helen in Paris, or to his father in America, of the mystery? Indeed, would the censor let such news pass? Once she had believed Tom seriously wounded, and for several days had hunted for him, expecting to find him mutilated. Fortunately, her expectations at that time had been unfounded. It seemed now, however, as though there could be no doubt but something very dreadful had happened to her friend. Added to his peril, too, was this awful suspicion that others seemed to hold regarding Tom's faithfulness. It's going to be very hard indeed for Ruth Fielding to keep her mind on her work in the Red Cross while this uncertainty regarding Lieutenant Cameron remained. End of Chapter 7.